Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
And good afternoon, everyone. For some reason, it is at the, Frank, can you get it back to the beginning? The computer's haunted. There we go, we fixed it. What a good start to today's Monday, right? I don't even know what day it is. That's what happens when you're on call the previous week. My name is meteorologist Heather Kay. It is Monday, and it's time for our daily hail forecast. We got to thank our sponsors first. We got the C3 Group, as well as Merlin Law Group, and Balance Claims. Thank you guys, as always, for sponsoring our videos. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you check them out, you guys. So let's get right into our weather headlines. We do have a pretty large risk area to see hail today. It's going to be a pretty wide area that we'll be taking a look at in just a second. And then as we get into tomorrow, the chance for hail will be moving on to the east. We can see a chance for hail from the Great Lakes to the Gulf. And then we may see another chance of hail on Wednesday as well. So let's jump into first the calm before the storm tournament. This is going to be on May 20th, so this is only a few weeks away. It's going to be near Denver, Colorado, so make sure you go and sign up for that if you are interested in participating. So now let's jump into our current conditions. This is our satellite and radar composite. You can see that we do have a lot of areas of precipitation. Earlier we did have some severe weather moving through Atlanta. There was a tornado that was reported on the southwest side of the metro area, and currently we'll take a look closer to that in just a second, but the eastern part of the U.S. You are dealing with a lot of rain and cloud cover at the moment. We're going to zoom into a few areas that we're going to be keeping an eye on for severe weather. First is our neck of the woods here in Oklahoma City and parts of Texas. Currently we do have a cloud deck covering it central Oklahoma. Texas, you're pretty clear right now except for the panhandle. You can see we already have some thunderstorm development out there. And this is going to be the main area that we'll be watching later on this afternoon and evening for thunderstorm development, and that does include large hail. And then moving on to the north, we're going to be keeping an eye on an area from Chicago southward to St. Louis. Hail will be possible there as well, not as large, and the chances will be lower, but the chances are still there. Currently it's dry in Illinois down to St. Louis, clear skies for you guys, but we do have an area of showers and thunderstorms in Iowa and northern Missouri that will be moving on to the east and will potentially spark some stronger thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. And then lastly, again, I mentioned a few minutes ago, Atlanta, you did have some severe weather move through your area, I think around 9:30 or so this morning. And some thunderstorms are still going on right now for you guys. And a tornado watch is also in effect for Atlanta as well. And we also have a new severe thunderstorm watch out for parts of Mississippi as well as Alabama. So this is another area that we'll be watching for severe weather this afternoon into this evening. Temperature-wise, it is pretty sticky, pretty warm in Dallas, 83 right now for you guys, 85 in Houston, a little bit cooler though as we head to the north, only 63 in Kansas City, 60 in Minneapolis, and then pretty comfortable right now, although rain cold at 72 in Atlanta and 87 down in Miami. Dew points, though, you can see it's extremely humid. Temperature, the dew points are in the upper 60s to lower 70s. New Orleans, 60 or 75. Man, this is what happens when you're on call, you guys. Getting back from it. 70 though for a dew point in Dallas. It's very sticky, very humid. A lot of instability is in place. So it's the perfect environment for severe weather. And speaking of instability, this is our Cape. A lot of instability will be in place this afternoon and evening. Getting into later on in the afternoon, man, these values for the Cape are still extremely high. So we do have the Cape, we have the moisture, we do have a low pressure in place. So all the ingredients are coming together for the potential for very large hail. Getting into the evening hours, a lot of instability will still be present, although as we get into later overnight, those values look to drop off a bit. So we're going to be zooming into a few areas for our radar. First is Oklahoma City down to Dallas. I do think here in Oklahoma City, our chances are going to be very low to maybe nothing at all. I'm going to say that right now, although our chances in Dallas, this is at 7 p.m. this evening. You can see this particular model run is it's showing that we could have a few supercells developing to the west of Dallas, as well as in the Lubbock area. So these are some areas that we'll be watching very carefully. And as we get into later on this evening and into the overnight hours, you can see that the activity will continue to develop and move on to the east. And you can, around 9:30 or so, southeastern Oklahoma, it may become more of a wind event. So that's something that we need to watch as well. And as we get into later on this evening, into the overnight hours, the activity will continue to move on to the east, turning into even more of a line into eastern Oklahoma, getting into Arkansas. Dallas looks to clear out by then, although we do need to watch near the Red River still for any more activity. It looks like, though, that may stay to the north. Yeah, Dallas, it looks like you may have a decent chance today, right? And then moving on to the north, I mentioned Chicago earlier. You have a marginal chance to see some severe hail. This is at 4 p.m. later on this afternoon. The HRRR model is showing that activity that's currently in Iowa will be moving on to the east. And as we get more of a heating of the day, we could see some strengthening, and around 7 or so, we could see the potential of some hail in Chicago, maybe as far south as St. Louis, and that will be moving on to the east as we get into late evening and as we get into the early morning hours. That will start to clear out. Chicago, you should be good by midnight or so, and you can see more activity to our south. Speaking of the south, let's go to our last area. More thunderstorm development from basically Virginia down to Raleigh, down to Atlanta still. Atlanta, you're dealing with severe weather right now. It looks like it's going to continue for the next few hours, getting into Later on in the evening, more storms will continue to develop and move on to the east, and as we get near midnight, it looks like things will quiet down a little bit, although it looks like there may be some more activity trying to develop in Alabama as well as Tennessee and Kentucky. So it's going to be a pretty busy day here at the Hail Palace. It is that time of the year. So let's take a look at our hail forecast from Chicago down south to our neck of the woods to Dallas, all the way eastward to Alabama, Georgia, and the Carolinas. Let's zoom into a few areas. This is the main concern for today. Dallas-Fort Worth, I think you do have a decent chance to see up to a tennis ball size hail. Lubbock, same story for you. I mentioned Oklahoma City. Your chances are going to be extremely low. It does depend what this front does, but right now the chances do not look very good, but hey, you never know, right? In Tulsa, same story for you. Moving on to our northern part of the risk, a low chance to see up to $0.5 size hail for St. Louis northward to Chicago for that activity that will be moving through for you guys. And then to the southeast, a marginal chance to see up to $0.5 size hail for areas like Nashville, Birmingham, Atlanta, northward to Raleigh, North Carolina. So pretty large area for hail. And then we do have a wind risk as well. Let's take a look at that. Pretty wide area to see 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts for any storms that do develop. I did highlight possibly higher chance for higher gusts, maybe up to 75 miles per hour for that line that will be coming through later on tonight for Little Rock. So yeah, it's going to be, like I said, a very busy day, and today is not going to be the only day for severe weather. I'll talk about that in just a second. This is the city that we'll be focusing on for today, Dallas-Fort Worth, between 5 and 10 p.m. this evening. I think up to tennis ball size hail is possible. We're saying it too high, a decent chance to see greater than 1 inch hail, as well as a moderate chance to see above a golf ball size. Again, all the ingredients are coming together, and yeah, it's pretty humid, pretty good day to possibly see some storms in Dallas. So how about tomorrow? Well, those dew points are going to continue to stick around in the southeast. A lot of humidity, and the chances of hail will be moving on to the east as well. And then as we get into later on the evening, again tomorrow, it's going to be sticking around and getting into Wednesday. Still some high dew points along the east coast. And after that, it looks like we may have a day where we will be quiet. So this is tomorrow's radar for the HRRR model. Some storm development will be going on in the morning and afternoon hours, and then as we get into later on in the afternoon, more robust thunderstorm development is expected from the east or western parts of North Carolina down to Atlanta, westward into Mississippi and Alabama, and down into Louisiana. So these are the areas that we're going to be watching for tomorrow. I do think initially the storms will be hail producers, but then they will congeal into a line. So hail first, and then linear development later on in the day. As you can see here, getting into 8 p.m., it's more of a possibly wind threat as we get later on into the evening hours. And then as we get into overnight tomorrow, it looks like things will start to die down a bit and quiet down and get below severe limits as we get into the early morning hours for our Wednesday. So this is tomorrow's hail forecast. Again, it's going to be from the lower Great Lakes down south to the Gulf. Some areas that we'll be watching include Jackson, as well as Alexandria, Louisiana, and it may stretch as far north as Cincinnati, Ohio. Again, lower chances for hail up in the northern part of the risk, but as you go down south where there's more energy and where the system is located, the chances of hail will increase. And then, like I said, hail will be first, and then as we get throughout the day, it'll become more of a wind threat. A pretty large area for severe wind is possible tomorrow from the lower Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf again, maybe as far east as Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, and Alexandria. Again, there may be some stronger winds, 75 miles per hour for those stronger storms in Mississippi and Alabama. And then let's take a look after tomorrow. I did mention this is tomorrow morning, a lot of moisture still in place as we get into, let me see, yes, this is Wednesday. The system will be moving on to the east. Moisture will still be around though on the eastern coast. And then after that, it looks like we may quiet down for our Thursday, but you can already see that moisture return starting to come back. So we got to keep an eye on stuff for our Friday and into our weekend potentially. So that's something that we need to watch as we go throughout the week. Here's our look ahead forecast. This is our Wednesday threat. East Coast, you can see some hail as well as some strong winds. So, yep, it's that time of the year, you guys. We are in May. We are getting into that peak season. So you don't want to miss anything. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you have any questions, concerns, or if you just want to say hi, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. You can email us at info@hailtrace.com and check out our website at www.hailtrace.com. And I am meteorologist Heather Kay. I hope you all have a great rest of your Monday. Do those hail dances.